Quick word of warning, everybody. I'm gonna be joking a little bit in this video, and I'm going to be engaging the trolls. So if that sounds scary to you, you better put your sarcasm glasses on. You've been warned. Hey, what's up, my WiBit friends? It's been quite a while since we've done a WiBisode. Kevin here, back again. Why haven't we done a WiBisode in a while? Well, maybe it's because of all of the abuse that I have been taking on some of the YouTube comments that have made me sad and upset. But I must grow a thicker skin. But let's take a look down memory lane. Yes, I know. The internet can be quite mean. But I will survive. I will survive. Now, in fairness, every single one of these comments came from one video, and it just happened to be one that was an Apple-based video. Why am I not surprised that there's so much hatred coming from the Apple community? I'm sorry if me trying to engage with my audience is annoying to you. I'm sorry. So very sorry. So very not sorry. So sorry.
Sorry.
But the good thing about video is you can fast forward. And you can fast forward in this video too. But alas, we shall start now. We're going to do a webisode on how to set up a load balancer using Apache web server. Now, I know there's a ton of different web servers in the world, and a lot of people kind of have their own idea on what their favorite is. Now, is that rambling? Is that rambling? Show me in the comments if that's rambling. A lot of people have different preferences on what their favorite web servers are. I still kind of like Apache. Apache is still great, does what it does, but really it doesn't matter what your web server is on the final side. But we're going to use Apache on all of our web servers today, but the web servers that actually serve up the content can be whatever you want. In this instance, the load balancer is just going to be Apache, so you can mix and match. It really doesn't much matter. So let's get started. The first thing we need is, first of all, I have a Windows machine here that I'm working on, and I'm going to be using VirtualBox, which you can download for free for pretty much any platform, whether you're using Apple or Windows or Linux or whatever your preference is. It's pretty simple. Just go on the internet machine and find it. And we're going to be using this to set up our virtual machines. And let's go run out and download the ISO that we're going to be using to install our server operating systems. So your web browser of choice, whatever it may be, let's run out and let's just search for Ubuntu server, which is what I'm going to use. And I'm going to download the latest version that currently the latest version is version 18. Now, those of you guys that follow Ubuntu server, they have changed drastically their installer, but I want to use their legacy installer just because I kind of used to it. It's easier to follow, I think. And they still have that in their alternative downloads. So that's what we're going to do. And over here on the left, it says alternative Ubuntu installer. That's what I'm going to get. And here I have my 64-bit PC AMD. That's what we're going to download and save that. So should I just sit here and babble on and on while this downloads? Just kidding. My skin is not that thin. Just having a little bit of fun. Okay, my download is done. So in my VirtualBox, let's go ahead and create a new virtual machine. We'll do a Linux server, Ubuntu 64. We'll call this web server 1. Next, and I don't really need that much memory. This is just a test machine, so we'll just give it 512 megabytes of RAM. 10 gigabyte hard drive sounds about right, and BDI dynamically allocated. Sure, web server 1, create. A couple of very minor modifications here in the settings for this fella. Under system, everything should be fine. I'm going to uncheck floppy disk. You can keep it. It's not like it's going to hurt anything. For a server, 1 megabyte of video RAM. No need for really anything else. Now here for the disk, we're going to select the drive. Now here, this is because I had previously downloaded this, but we can choose the location of the drive in our downloads. So there's the disk now is mounted as if it was in the CD-ROM drive, the virtual CD-ROM drive. We don't need to have audio. For networking, I'm going to have a bridged adapter. And one of the things I like to do with promiscuous mode is allow all. And then just for fun, for the MAC address, I just hit refresh a bunch of times because it's fun. And we don't need to have a USB controller. And that's pretty much that. Was that quick enough for you guys? All right. So let's hit start and let's get this guy fired up. So since there's no operating system on the disk, it will boot from that automatically. Otherwise, I would have had to hit F12 right there to select my boot disk. So here we go. This installation should look familiar to you if you've ever installed any Ubuntu server prior to this version. So we'll just blaze through this installation. It's very simple to follow, and I think many of us have installed this many times before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to install both web servers. I'm not going to clone one and then run. I'm going to actually just install them. What I'm going to do is the host name for one will be web server 1 and the host name for the other will be web server 2. But I will edit out the installation of the second web server so that you don't have to watch me do it, because I know how valuable your time is, of course. All right, so our host name for this one, we'll just call it web-server1. Full name, we'll just call it WiBit. Username, WiBit. And the password will just be password. We're just going to dump these when we're done with them anyway. This is just temporary. Time zone, yep, looks good to me. All right, use entire disk of that disk that is in there. Write changes, absolutely. All right, next step, proxy, no proxy. All right, now let's see, updates. I'm not going to worry about automatic updates. Again, this is a throwaway project. The only thing I want to install here is an open SSH server. So it's going to be basically a minimalist installation. Holy shit, that seemed like it took a lifetime. Okay, install the grub. The grub? I guess that's a sign that I'm hungry. Install grub as bootloader. Yes. Ooh, finishing the installation. It's about f***ing time. I am still fascinated how progress bars to this very day are like this. They'll jump to a number and sit there. I mean, it's been how many years since we've been working on progress bars and we still haven't gotten this figured out? And maybe that just amuses me. I don't know. Oh, got it. Okay. All right. Finally. Jeez. And the Ubuntu installer still, no matter what machine I install it on, whether it's on a virtual machine or a physical machine, like I have a gigantic server that I have in my server room that has, well, I don't want to say the specs because depending on when you read this, it may not sound impressive, but for the time being, it's impressive. There's that part where it's installing the software where it gets to 83% and then it sits there. So it just goes and then it gets to 83% and then it sits there. It does that on that machine too. So I had this massive, powerful machine. It still has this problem. Anyways, doesn't matter. Okay. So we got the first web server VM up and running. So let's, we got WiBit, not WiBitty, WiBit, and then password. So let's do first, let's get the IP address. And I'm actually not going to work within this window because I find this window to be a little small. I'm going to pull up PuTTY. So this IP address 1.211, I'm pulling this up on my other screen, 192.168.1.211. Yes. Okay. Log in as WiBit and password. All right, this way we can do some of the cooler stuff and have a nice bigger screen here to work with. Okay, so we'll do first a couple of house cleaning chores. We'll do an update. I mean, you know, for a throwaway server, this is probably not that important, but I'm going to do it anyways just because I'm brainwashed to do this. And then do an upgrade. Since this is a fairly new version of the operating system, at least at the time of this recording, there probably isn't too much to upgrade. But it's good practice to at least do this. And then if this was a real server, then the next thing that I would do would be to set up, you know, antivirus and all that stuff. But I'm going to skip all that. All right, the next thing we're going to do is install Apache 2 onto this server. And I will make sure that I supply these commands in the comments below for those of you that are looking for more of a shortcut method of doing this and don't want to listen to me babble. The next thing we'll do is install PHP. Now I know some people hate PHP. I still love PHP and find it useful. And for this experiment, we're going to use PHP. All right, so we have Apache, we have PHP. Okay, so after PHP is installed, clear the screen, I'm going to enable the SSL mod for Apache. And the next thing I'm going to do after that is I'm going to create a directory where I'm going to store my self-signed certificate on this machine. And the next thing I'm going to do after that is run this nice fun command here that's just going to create a self-signed certificate and store it in that location. So this is just going to do a self-signed certificate all in just one line. So it's going to open SSL, it's going to do a request, and it's going to sign it in one line. It's going to be a certificate that is available for 7,300 days, 4096 RSA. Subject line is just generic stuff. So I'm actually just putting that all in the command line so we don't have to type it out. Piping the key out to that directory, the one that I just created, and then putting the the public certificate out into that location as well. So if I hit enter, you'll see it's just going to go brap, and then there it is. So the next thing I have to do is I want to redirect all requests, just like we did in the LAMP series, to HTTPS. So cd space etc/Apache2, and then we'll go to sites available, ls. So those of you that are looking for something a little bit more easy, we'll do sudo nano /000 default. Oops, what'd I do? Oh, sorry, I forgot my slash at the beginning. One of my favorite guitar players of all time. All right, so we got all this stuff in here. I'm just going to hold Control and then hold down K and delete all of it. And I'm going to put this text in here. Virtual host, anything that comes in on port 80. And you know what? I forgot to put the rewrite engine on, but we'll correct that in a second. So if anything comes in on port 80, we're going to say, hey, if it's not HTTPS, we're going to redirect the request to HTTPS. So Control O and then enter to save and then X. And sorry, I missed this step, but to put the Apache rewrite, we will enable the rewrite mod. So that should say, if we get an HTTP request, forward it to HTTPS. All right, now the next step is to update the SSL default. So I believe if I do ls/var/www/html, that should be where our default web server is. So we're going to copy this command here, sudo nano, but we'll do default SSL. And holy bananas, there's a lot of crap in here. So I'm going to do Control K until we get rid of all this. All right, so I just have like a really simple, so here we go. So if the mod is enabled for SSL coming in on 443, server admin, it's not really necessary, but var www HTML, here's the certificate that we're using, which is our self-signed cert, the key, and here's where we're gonna be writing our logs, our error log, our access log, our directory, and then the rules that we have in place. These are just some simple basics rules, and Control O, enter, exit. So I'm not really explaining what I'm doing. This is just our simple web server. So now what I should be able to do is I should be able to do sudo service Apache 2 restart. Actually, before I do that, I have to enable the default SSL site. Then I can restart. So let's try that. Let's try, what was it again? Let's see if we can access that website real quick. Okay. I understand the risks. Add exception. Confirm exception. Cool. So our web server is set up, and I will put everything below so that everything should be easy to follow. Okay, I'm going to apologize real quick because I had some technical difficulties with my VirtualBox, and I actually had to delete and rebuild that machine. So you'll notice that out of the blue, the IP address is different. It was 2.11, now it's 2.13. So hopefully that doesn't confuse or scare anybody. But now I will edit that so that hopefully nobody notices the difference. So we do have a working web server. But now I want to finish off setting this thing up. So let's go to C var www, and then here's the HTML. All right. So let's do a sudo rm index.html. And then I'll do a sudo nano index.php, quick PHP file. All right, let's see if we can see that. All right, so we know that PHP is working. So we should be able to very easily get the server's host name by doing, I think it's just simply get hostname. Let's see if this blows up. Okay, so it says web server 1. Now this is just telling us which server we are hitting. So yes, I know that I can, and let me now, I'll minimize Pale Moon, and let me shut down this server. Powered off. Okay, so I know that I can clone this by right-clicking on it and going to clone, but I have in the past had issues with cloning servers and stuff not working right. So I'm going to put this video on hold, so you will just cut right to it where you will see a web server 2. I'm just going to perform the exact same actions that I just did with this one, except for the name of the server is going to be web-server-2 instead of web-server-1. So, all right, I am finally back. A little bit of time passed, although you didn't notice. So I actually had to add RAM to the virtual machines to get them to work. I was just using a little bit too little RAM, but I got web server 1, web server 2, and the load balancer up. So what I actually did is I just deleted them and rebuilt them, but no different than I did before, and I'll have the instructions down below. So in my web browser, you can see that I have all three of them out. Now these three these three servers are all clones of each other. So I have web server 1, web server 2, and web load balancer. So they're all three just web servers that are just serving up a PHP page that says the host name of the server. So what I have here is a terminal screen that we're going to be using to make this our main page. And then we're just going to goof around with the host file to make it a host name local. And that should be the end of that. So since this is a clone, we already have HTTP forwarding. So if I go to HTTP and then this IP address, you can see that it forwards me to HTTPS. So what we're going to do is modify the HTTPS or SSL. We'll do the default. So right now, the default SSL is pointing us just to that /HTML location. So there are several things in here that we need to, so I don't know what's going to be the most useful for me to kind of explain it or for me to just do it and then just put the code below. So what I think I'm just going to do is just stick it in here and just let you guys have a little bit of fun with it. So here is the code that we need. Now we have this balance member, and right here, the first thing I'm going to put in here is https:// and then the IP address of the first host that I want to balance. So let's just do 192.168.1.229. So 192.168.1.229. Okay, close that. We need to also install a couple of additional modules. So we're going to need to install the proxy balancer. We're going to need to install these two. We're going to need to install proxy, We're going to need to install proxy HTTP, and I think that's it. So let's do a sudo service Apache 2 restart. Okay, so it looks like that worked. And this will all be, again, in the description below. So I guess if we come over to this last one and refresh it, yeah, look at that. So now if we refresh it, it goes over here to web server 1. So when we hit this web server, it's just forwarding the traffic over to this web server. So let me edit the default SSL, and I should be able to do a second entry. So the second entry is going to be 196. And if I open this up, and if I hit that, yep. So if you refresh it enough times, you'll see that it got to 2. So if you just keep refreshing it, you'll see it'll eventually go to 1 and then 2. So let me go to my host file. So I'll open up Notepad as administrator, do file and then open. So it'll be in Windows System 32 drivers and then etc. It depends on what version of Windows you're running. Then I'll open up hosts, and in here what we'll do is we'll just add these entries. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is add the IP addresses. So check this out. We'll do 192.16.1.229, and then we'll call this www.mywebsite.com. And then, so that'll be just one of the servers, and then the other server was 196, and that'll be www2, and then www will be our load balancer, and that'll be 227. So if I save that, let's see, the changes should take place automatically. Okay, so let's go to www.mywebsite.com. All right, so I'm getting a certificate error, which is fine because we're using self-signed certificates. Okay, and we got web server 1, and if I refresh it several times, I still get that. And if I go to www.mywebsite.com, yep, I get the second server. And then if I go to www.mywebsite.com, I get one server, and then if I keep refreshing, I'll get the other server. Great! Awesome! So this is a pretty, hopefully quick, we'll see how it edits down, a method on how you can use Apache to load balance between multiple web servers. And if you take a look at how this configuration is set up, it's actually not that complicated, and you don't really have to understand everything that's going on, but you can see that you can easily take servers, put servers in and take servers out. Like for example, if you were going to do an upgrade on this server, or if this server was causing problems, you should be able to just put a pound symbol here, and everything should just, so now every single time that we reload here, that server should be out of rotation. Yes. But of course, that's not what we want. But so that's a really cool and really simple method on how you could make a simple load balancing server using Apache web server, all open source Ubuntu web server. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this was fun, at least in some ways. And if you have angry comments, please be sure to leave them. And if you have happy comments, feel free to leave them as well. Take care, guys. See you later.